Everybody, welcome back to Before the Break.
Thanks for joining us. We do have a great guest today, Adam.
I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm so excited. Ladies and gentlemen, she appeared in over 40 episodes of television, including recurring Cindy Herman on NBC's Chicago Fire. She's been in tons of films, a ridiculous amount of commercials. She's sweet and hardworking and so talented. Please welcome to the show, Chicago-based actress Robyn Coffin.
Oh my gosh, what an intro. Thank you.
Hi, Robyn. Nice to
Hi.
meet you.
Nice to meet you, Tommy. Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you. It's been far too long. Adam, Robyn, and I, we did the Chicago film and TV circuit, or whatever you want to call it, for years and years and years, and we were finally in a movie together called The Life and Death of an Unhappily Married Man. Did we do anything else? I think that was the only thing.
I think that was it. Was it.
Well, you played this incredible boss that was just so unlikable, but you did it expertly.
Woman. Oh, thank you.
Somebody made a GIF. Is it a GIF or a GIF?
I never know.
Good for you. I'm so glad that there's two of us. Where I'm flipping you off and you have this incredible reaction where you just shut down. And I'm telling you, it's just beautiful. I'll send it to you.
Yeah, please send it to me. I would love to see that. That was so fun. Good old Josh Hope.
Yeah. God bless him. How are you, Robyn?
I am well.
How's everything treating you? You're in Chicago right now, right? How's everything over there?
I am in Chicago. It's good. It's a little dreary today, but there's not 8 million feet of snow on the ground, so we're good. We're good.
Love it.
Well, that's a win.
I remember the few times I had to actually dig my car out of spots many times during the winter. I mean, it was only like one section of winter, but it was like, just digging.
You're digging. Yeah, we just left the car for like 2.5 weeks. We just left it there. Like, there's no hope because my car is it's like a mini, teeny, tiny car. So we just, no.
And you're born and bred, right? I mean, this isn't your first winter in Chicago. You're born and raised in Illinois.
Yes, I grew up in Downers Grove. So you
Right.
would think that when the snow comes, I'm totally prepared, but I'm always pissed. I'm always real pissed. Because you forget. You're like, oh, here it is.
It really is like pissed. It's anger. I remember like the moments where you're getting to your apartment finally and the wind will just come up and say, I know you had it rough here, but I'm just going to hit you one more time. And then you're like, God, anger is really, you get anger. I think it's because of the pain. It's because of the harsh wind right in your face.
There's a lot of pain involved in winter.
Robyn, when did the pain begin?
The pain has been for 44 years, Ed.
Long years.
From the moment of conception.
We should start asking all of our guests that. Just start every
That's
interview.
our first question.
When did the pain begin?
I mean, that could have been stuff, right? I'm keeping it together. But yeah, it's pretty much always been there.
Okay, so you've been in that market. Was Chicago always a place that you were like, ooh, that's the place I'm gunning for?
Yeah. So I was in Seattle for 4 years, which now feels like a lifetime ago, 2005 to 2009. Totally different life. And then I came back. I got a divorce. That'll change things. And I was
in Chicago, were you acting, or was it a completely different life? Like completely different life?
I was. So I pretty much started when I was a kid. And then in high school, I was speech team kid and I did all the theater and all the auditions. And then I went to Columbia College. I went to College of DuPage first.
Right.
And then I went to...
And you got the John Belushi Memorial Scholarship there. That must have been such an honor.
It was amazing. Yeah,
and what did you do to attain that?
I had to audition. My little 18-year-old self had to audition, did my monologues. And... I got it. Yeah. Because my parents...
You
God love my
obviously
parents.
got it. Did you do well, or were you so nervous? What was the process
Oh,
like there?
I was a nervous wreck. I was like, wait, what? Because that was the first time that, I was outside of like comfy, cozy high school world. And I was like stepping into a room of people that I didn't know. And I had to have a headshot resume. And so I was nervous could be. And God love my parents, but they were like, you wanna do what? You wanna go to college? Oh, good
So how
luck.
did they take that when you started to get that validation was something, were they kind of like, listen, we love you as long as you're happy, that sort of thing?
Oh yeah, they were always so supportive of me going into this because it did make me happy and I was good at it. So they were like, our baby has found something that she does and she does it well. So yeah, I got the John Belushi, and then part of the requirement for that was auditioning for everything. And College of DuPage has a theater company in residence, Buffalo Theater Ensemble, which I am now an ensemble member of, which is awesome.
She's like, I
Um,
own it.
it's actually it's my company now. But we had to do a BTE show. So we were behind the scenes, or we were in the show, or we were doing costumes, or we had to be a part of the entire program along with the professional company in residence. So much experience, so much.
That's amazing.
It was. It
And
was.
and you graduated, and did you think to yourself, now what? Or did you kind of know exactly what was going to happen? Or your path, you kind of like envisioned your path already set before you?
Yeah, I had always had a vision of what it was that I wanted to do. And then I went to Columbia and I graduated there. And then it was a little like, oh my gosh, what do we do now? Um, and I got signed, right? You're like, oh, the
Did
real world.
they,
Oh,
when you
that's
were
crazy.
there, was there any sort of like, so guys, when you're done, these are sort of the steps you should take to kind of make this a reality?
Yeah, yeah, there were professional survival classes. The teachers at Columbia that I had were working professionals, so it was really awesome
That's great.
that they could
Yeah.
share
Wow.
with us what this was going to look like. Like Barbara Robertson was one of my teachers, and very honest about that whole world and what everything was going to look like. And then they did this wonderful thing where they had a showcase where they invited all the agents to come, and I got signed pretty quickly.
Great.
So I was, super fortunate for that. And then I just started auditioning, and I had absolutely no idea what I was doing, like, because on camera was such a foreign thing to me. And then I worked with Jane Alderman at Act One, um, who like kicked my butt and like showed me what the on camera world was going to be like. And I just started working, on camera worked for me.
What did you see in the difference between the two mediums? What was the most, I mean, memorable difference between the two that you kind of latched onto and grew to like?
Well, theater, and I teach on camera, so now I really try to talk about this, but theater it's this broad thing, right? Like you're watching someone on a stage and you're watching their whole body and you're watching them speak to other people and be around props and sets and all that stuff. And on camera, especially for auditioning, which is so very different than working in on camera, is just this. It's literally, we just have this box that we're in. So we have to create everything out here and show what it is that we're seeing and what it is that we're feeling just in this box with lights on us and in this tiny little room. And so it was just so totally different. But I understood that very quickly.
Good, good.
And
I know it
sometimes the
takes a long
actors
time
in
for
your
some
eye
people.
line is like behind an army of crew that you can barely see. And there's lenses and there's lights, and you're having to like connect with someone 25 feet away. And between them is like an arsenal of equipment. And you're just trying to like keep it together. It's a little different than theater.
A little different. A little different. Yep. Yeah.
Did you miss kind of the raw uh I guess, energy of live performance in that way. I mean, like Adam just said, sometimes we take 10 minutes and shoot this part of a scene, and then we got to go back and do this. And it's very anti-poetic. It's very choppy, and you have to just jump in and get ready, and while in theater, it's kind of just from beginning to end experience. I know you still love theater. You love Shakespeare, I know too. Do you miss that, or do you did you gravitate towards TV and film and kind of just, this is where you're nestled in and want to stay?
This is where TV and film is where I did find a home, but I definitely miss theater. And occasionally I'll still do a show. I did a show last October of 2000. What was that?
Whenever.
19. Yeah. Like, what is time?
The dark year.
Right before the darkness hit, right? But yeah, I miss it. It's such a different vibe, such a different way to work. But I'm lucky that I still have access to it, that I could be a part of. I'm also a part of the silent theater ensemble. So I actually, now that I think about it, right before the pandemic, we had opened an immersive show called Incomplete, Conversations, where it was a funeral play in a church, and it was totally immersive. It was so cool. And
very cool.
it was really something. And we had been doing that in November, and then we remounted it and we opened March 5th, and we very quickly were shut down. We had 3 shows, and then it was over.
It's like everybody had this incredible year planned. My fiance had like 4 films, and we had all this stuff going on, and it's like, sorry. Bye.
Oh yeah, it was very it was really upsetting, and there's some trauma there with all of that, so yeah, I'm lucky that I get to do both. I get to do the TV and film, and then I can hop into a play over here while everybody understands this. This is something that I definitely want to point out, that I learned very quickly that if you are going to do theater, you have an understudy if you're recurring on a TV show, because you could get the phone call who knows when, and they need you next week. And so working with people that understand that was really huge for me. Like, they just know that I got to skip out because NBC is my boss, and when they tell me to be there, I got to be there.
There's no understudy on camera.
No.
Throw a wig on her. It's fine.
Yeah, she's good. So tell me though, when you go ahead, Adam. Sorry. No, you go, please. No, please. No, I'm kidding. Go ahead.
God, we're gonna have the most insufferable podcast. No, so did it take a while, kind of finding your sea legs with like getting into on camera auditions?
That was my question. I just want to say that. I was going to say that question.
I'm sure it was.
Same page, same Z's. Oh yes. I remember the very first commercial I ever did was for Mr. Clean Magic Eraser. I was the spokesperson.
You were Mr. Clean.
I love those
I was
fucking
actually
things.
Mr. Clean.
They're amazing.
They're amazing. It was right. They were introducing them. They had just come out, and so I did the very first commercial for it, and I was a freaking mess. I was a mess. Just being on that set, I was like, what is going on? I had absolutely no idea that they do 30 takes and they need you to say it differently every single time. What? No idea. Absolutely no idea. So, yeah.
Wow. Commercial auditions really freak me out. Like going to an audition and not knowing what you're going to say, because usually you get copy when you arrive. I don't like that. That just stresses me out.
Really?
So,
I love it.
So see, in Chicago, it's very different. You get copy before you get there.
When I moved to New York, I got my first couple of commercial auditions, and I'm like, cool, send the copy whenever. And they're like, no, we don't do that. You sign your name there, and 5 minutes before, you might get a slip of paper that gives you a little bit of idea of what's happening. No, really, I mean, you get that printout and then you're like, all right, well, I got my beats, I got my thing. We'll just see what happens. And also in New York, they give you monitors where you are instructed actually to read off it. And, if I go to O'Connor or something in Chicago, you better have that stuff down because you had the copy before. Every market is a little different, but I'm sure you didn't expect a lot of what you saw in those commercials. I mean, it's just another world to get confused by.
Totally. Yes. Just to like boggle your mind even more. Right. Yeah. We get copy if we're lucky. We have 24 hours, but yeah, you better memorize that thing. Memorize.
And what about like when things were rolling in your mid-20s, did you hit snags and droughts like a lot of people, or did you kind of coast on comfortably?
Well, I think my journey was a little different in that, I was SAG pretty much immediately. So when I did the Mr. Clean commercial, it was also voiceover. So I had to join SAG immediately.
Nice.
Which was very different, right? So I started working and things were going really, really well. I also had short, red, spiky hair. So very different look. And they didn't really know what to do with me then. They were like, we don't really, what's going on here?
And what did Stuart have to say when they came in with that red spiky hair?
They were like,
you're going blonde, honey.
Your cute little button. Yeah, what is this? What's going on? Wow. And I remember Sam Samuelson saying to me, when you're 32, that's when you're going to work a lot.
Right.
So I decided at 26, I was going to get married, because why not? And we moved to Seattle. And so I was out of it for 4 years. And then I came back with this hair. So I have, medium blonde or chin length blonde hair and the new headshots and the whole works. And I just threw myself into this. The very first role I had when I moved back, I was on stage for 30 seconds. I got stabbed and died and dragged off stage. Because I just
then you went to the performance.
And then I see what you did.
He does that a lot.
He's so clever. Yeah, so I hit the ground running. And
tell me what age you were when you moved back with the new headshots
32.
and the new. Okay, so you were 32.
I was 32.
And what year was that?
That was 2009.
I'm sorry that I asked the date. Now you're gonna be like, oh gosh, now we have to talk about age and everything.
Oh no, we can talk about age.
Good. Everybody should be comfortable with that. So
Yes.
So that was when I first met you. Essentially, was you coming back from Seattle and starting this new journey that brings us to today. So things kind of started to work for you. You started to do some commercials.
Yeah, commercial really hit. And I was playing, I always laugh with my classes. Like I was playing a mom with like teenage kids married to like a 56-year-old dude. It was so funny to see the commercial world and what it is that they're trying to say in commercials. But yeah, it definitely hit. And then Fire came in 2012. So yeah, I think we knew each other before Fire, didn't we, Tom?
Yep.
Was it?
Yep. Yeah, maybe a year or two before. I don't know where we had met, but probably the casting offices of O'Connor and a couple of like people who I think were just in our circles. But Chicago Fire, Dick Wolf show comes to town. He comes from the East Coast with Law and Order and all that, and Chicago is on the summit of a seismic shift in the film and TV production industry, and Dick Wolf was definitely the catalyst of that, I think.
Huge, yeah.
At least the consistent work, right? So Chicago Fire starts prior to Med and prior to all the other the PD and everything. And was this well into the season for you, or was this a new show you had any idea about?
I should also say too, I think it was maybe 2010. I did my first TV appearance on Chicago Code. So that was a show that was here, and
was that a co-star?
It was a co-star, and that was one. My agent called me. They give you all the dates, like So they're going to be looking to book you from November 3rd to the 15th. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm working from November 3rd to the 15th. Like I had no idea.
They're like, no, your time's 9 a.m. to 10:30. That's
yeah,
it.
Yeah, you're working one day, honey, one day. I had no idea. So, that was a huge learning experience. And then, I get there at 5 a.m. and we shoot my very first scene first and we shoot my very last scene last. So I think I was wrapped at like 11 p.m. and I was like, this is what this is. Oh my gosh, it was crazy. So then Fire was 2012, and it was
Claire Simon
the pilot. It was Pascal Rudnicki was casting it then. And it was the pilot. Or maybe the very first episode just after the pilot. But yeah, my agent called me at like 7:00 on a Wednesday. And it was like, hey, are you familiar with Sex and the City? And I was like, yeah, love it. Hello. And he was like, yes, Steve on Sex and the City is in a new show that's coming to Chicago.
Him.
And David Eigenberg.
Love him. One of the best characters on Sex and the City. Seriously.
And,
Steve.
Good old Steve the bartender. He told me that, he auditioned for that show a bunch. They were trying to
take it easy. That's a nice Coke d'Aron. Love it. You can't talk to me like that. We're just going to go on and quote Sex and the City all day.
We're just going to keep quoting.
Guys, I know this show. Can we just continue on the Sex and the City?
Awkward.
But now
anyway, they're going to come out with Chicago Animal Rescue soon. That's going to be cool.
Chicago Sanitation. So my agent was like, they're looking for his wife. And I kind of passed out, I was like, oh my God, that's crazy. And that Friday morning, it was like July 26th, because you don't forget that stuff, right?
Right.
I went in and there were 5 of us. They called 5 of us in, and I was the very last person that read. And by the time I got in the room, they had given us 2 scenes to learn. And by the time I got in the room, they changed their minds and they made it an improv situation.
Okay. And how are we with improv?
Terror.
I thought that I figure you would be incredible at improv.
Oh, you're very sweet. Now I'm better, but at that moment, just terror just washed over me. I was like, wait, what? But it just clicked. Like I just went in there and it just clicked. It worked. Everything just made sense in that room.
Isn't that pretty typical, Robyn, for like when we have our colleagues, our friends in this business who book something wonderful? I mean, really life-changing. And I love asking the question, what happened before? Like what happened there and what happened during? And there's seems to be some sort of lightning strike, energetic, electrical thing that we can't really explain, but it happens a lot, I think. And I think only the people that has happened to them, they can accurately paint a picture of what it is. But I'm wondering if this happened to you, where there was kind of this force behind you that just drove you all the way through up to the phone call that said, you got it.
Yeah. Good old Cindy Herman just made sense to me. She made sense to me. I understood her. And, she's this lovely, warm, Midwestern woman. And so I knew exactly what to do with that. So when they threw that at me, it just, it was lightning. It literally struck. And
I wonder, because you had prepared for a few scenes. So you had all of that already in your head. You had already made choices. You had already worked on this. So when they said improv, it was actually like, I wonder for you if it was like, oh, well, fuck the lines. Let's just have fun. I already know this person because I've been working on it. So then you just sort of riff and be kind of
you let it go.
Yeah, exactly.
You listen. Yep. You let it go. And basically what they did was the scene that I had prepared, one of the scenes I had prepared was me coming to the firehouse to say thank you because they had saved my husband's life. And what they did was they grabbed 3 people from the office and put them in this room with us. And we had to go down the line and thank each of them. And so the story just got created, right? Like, okay, that one is going to be the slight rival that showed up to help him. That one's going to be the best friend. That, you know, so the story just got created right there in that moment. And it was great. And I remember Mickey Pascal just standing in the back of the room, just weeping because she was just so like, oh my God, this is so great. Because it just worked, you know? And then I went on vacation. And I was put on hold.
Where did you go?
I went to Seattle. I went to see family. And of course, my agents knew this, right? There wasn't a callback that was planned. So I get on a plane, and on Monday morning, my agent calls me and says, you're not in Chicago, are you? And I said, no. And she's like, okay, they need you to do the scenes that you had prepared now. So do you have a phone? And I'm like, yes. And she said, do you have a reader? And I said, yes. And I happen to have the exact clothes that I wore to the audition. So this was before self-tape, right? So we taped this puppy in my friend's dining room. And I sent it over to Mickey, and she gave me some notes, and I retaped, and we sent it off. And yeah, immediately I was like, oh my God. I mean, the feeling of like.
Right in your heart, right? You start to feel it.
Yeah. And then that Tuesday, I was drinking wine and got the call. And David Eigenberg wrote me a Facebook message right after, just introducing himself and telling me how excited he was. I mean, class act, right? Just totally.
Steve Wood.
And he did.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Yeah. Congratulations.
It was.
And you always know where you are and what you're doing, what you're drinking when that phone call comes in, because it's so monumental. And as an actress, you know, who had those aspirations as a young girl, and then Sam Samuelson says 32. I mean, it's so poetic, and it kind of like reinstates the idea that there's something happening out there, and it's so beautiful, and we won't even call it anything, but it's something. And it can only be attributed to, or you can only find it in pursuits like this, where nothing is banked, nothing is given, everything is risked. And this was a moment where so much hard work went in. And I wonder if you had fallen so many times and learned so many times and had those 2-step back moments that prepared you for that specific moment of improv at TPNR, and then that self-tape, and it was all kind of fueled and culminated at that one point.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, you know, I always tell my students, like, this is the business of 1,000 no's or 100 no's, you know, and then that yes comes and you embrace it. You're in the right place at the right time. There's actually a photo. Someone snapped a shot of me getting the phone call. So I actually have like photo of me getting this phone call. And it was just, you know, the exuberance behind that, of knowing how many years and how many scripts and how many auditions and how many, all of the stuff, right? And it just came together in that one moment, and it was so cool. And then of course, you know, I was like, oh my God, how do I do this? How do I like face this man that I've just watched on Six and the City? How I don't deserve this. Then the loop starts going, right? Where
the imposter syndrome starts to set in, and
oh my gosh. Yes. How am I going to be in that makeup trailer? What is this going to, right? And getting that message from him solidified the notion of I deserve to be there. We all do. That this is your moment, and take it and know that you got it and you're going to be okay.
And this is for you. And if it's for you, then it's all supposed to happen, and you can stop asking those questions and just enjoy it. So then you went into filming. Did you then have that sort of thing wash over, and everything just took care of itself and it was all good?
Yeah. Yeah. The fear instantly went away. I remember sitting in the makeup trailer, and Jesse was on one side of me and Taylor was on the other side of me, you know, the hunks from Chicago Fire. And David came barreling into that makeup trailer, just came over and just gave me a noogie and, you know, just with just big old kisses on the face. And everyone was just so excited. And so I just lived in that moment of pure excitement and trusting that I knew exactly what I was doing, because I did. And I think that's a big piece of it, is just allowing ourselves to do the thing that we know how to do and not getting in our own way, you
That's
know?
so true. That trust, not only trust in your teens and in your 20s and all the no's, but you had to, even when you got the yes, you had to trust, because there was resistance going on in all of our heads, no matter what chapter we are. But even when you give the key, there's still the resistance saying, yeah, but I don't deserve this and I don't belong here. And so you just tick, oh, great.
Yeah, you're taking
You know?
the key back, right?
Right. You take this
You're
back
gonna
because I don't
realize,
deserve this. Right.
yeah.
And
But
so
you
knew
overpowered
going into
that.
that.
No, you go, Adam. No, I'm gonna go. I'm finished. I'm done. Go.
And so you knew going into this that it was going to be a big recurring role, which must have been so exciting that it's not like, oh, I'm getting an episode of television. It's like, this might be a, you know, job for several years. And now you have dozens of episodes under your belt. And you guys are on like what, season 9?
We're on season 9.
Yeah.
And there
incredible.
was the might be recurring, right? There's the might be, and so you don't know. And David and I just gelled. We just worked so well together that they just kept writing. Like, we just became this cute little couple with 5. We now have 5 children on the show.
Wow.
And season 9. I you know, and I had to become really comfortable with the unknown, because I just never, you know, I could do 3 episodes one season and 8 episodes the next. So I just had to get really comfy with that. Like, your life has to just go, but then you have to be at the ready. And that took a couple years to like calm down about that, you know?
It takes a long time to find comfort in discomfort. And it's many years of unknowing. Here's what I can know. I know that it's uncertain. Here's how I can find comfort in the discomfort, just to live in it and just know that this is the world and you can be in it and be comfortable with this. Be certain about the uncertainty.
Right.
And that's the only certainty that I have, is that you don't know what's happening tomorrow. So you may as well just let it happen. And it's always worked out before. So why the hell wouldn't work out tomorrow?
Exactly.
But it's years. And finally you get to that point, and it is so easy. And do you feel now where you're at a point in your life, personally and professionally, where fear might be there, uncertainty might be there, but you know how to deal with it?
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Especially during this time. I mean, I think we've all been taught the major lesson of the unknown. Like, you literally just have to pivot and adjust at any moment and just go with what it is that you know for yourself, and be really comfortable in all of that stuff that we can't control, right? I've really taken that away from this time. And knowing that my work speaks for itself, and I know how to do this, and I know how to teach it, and I know how I feel about it, and I know how I feel about myself in it. And that's been the greatest thing ever. You know, I always go back to, and this was a huge learning time for me, Bryan Cranston, who to me is just like, you need to put that man in a bubble. Do your homework, Adam. I mean, he's super
if he wasn't on Sex and the City, I don't really, it's not really a thing.
Bring it back.
He's an American treasure. Bryan Cranston's an American treasure.
He is. And there's an interview that he does on YouTube. It's like a minute and a half, and it's his advice to actors. And it's majorly just about like, you don't go to get the job, you do the job. Like, you do the work, you prepare, and you make decisions, and you make choices, and you show them what you've decided, and then you leave, because that's all that we can do. Because At the end of the day, you may have a different hair color than they want, or you may be taller than the person they want to put you with. Who knows,
And
right?
who
So,
cares?
and who cares? There's so very little that we can do, but what we can do is the work and believing that we deserve to be in that room, and remember that they're excited to see us. They have invited us into this room, you know, and that is the only thing that we can do. And
Do
then
you,
walking away.
do you think that that transcends to your personal life? I mean, I love how acting can kind of season me up as an individual, and I can apply whatever I'm learning in the casting room or on set to life, like acceptance, like being okay with uncertainty, like being all right in a room and knowing you belong here. You know, all these things that are a luxury to some people, and they'll never be able to get to that point, but it's only through something. And in our case, it's a pursuit of a craft that takes something professional and allows it to transfer into your personal life. Do you feel like acting has helped you live a more fuller life here, aside from roles and money?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, yeah, I think they're intertwined with each other, right? Like as I continue to learn things about myself and in my own life, and I decide what I want for me, it's directly reflected into my career. And then when I allow myself to fully live in this career and be who I am, it directly reflects back to my life. So absolutely.
It's this
100%.
ecosystem of creativity and improvement and growth, and it's wonderful, and it maybe just validates you that you are right exactly where you need to be. If you've got these two worlds that are constantly giving to each other and you're constantly growing, then you know you're in a great place.
Yeah. Yeah. And now, I started teaching 5 years ago, and that has been a whole new level of fulfillment and joy, and, being able to help somebody work towards their goals and help them see that they deserve this thing has been, oh my gosh, it blows my mind on the daily, where you get to be a part of this with somebody. And it's pretty damn cool. I feel very lucky that I get to do it and share the knowledge that I have had throughout my life, and share, I talk about constantly, like the reason I teach is because I've done all of the things, like showing up at Claire's an hour late, showing up and not knowing my lines, you know what I mean? Like all of those things I have experienced. So let's help you be on your game, because I know what it feels like to not be.
Well, and there's no coincidence that you've fallen so many times, and you're also at this point in your career. Falling is inevitable, and I
Oh
think what a
yes.
lot of people do is they think falling is a bad thing, avoid it. You know, to jump off of that cliff, like where's the parachute and what is it, and what's it made of, and will it open? And you can't ask those questions. You have to know that you're gonna jump off and you're gonna fall. And falling and failing means that you're learning and you're getting better. And there's no way to learn other than falling. But now you get to use those experiences to benefit others, to say, hey, do this, do this, do this. But more importantly, don't do that. Don't do this.
I'm going to tell you right now, let's not do that. Right.
Does teaching make you a better actor?
Oh my gosh. Yes. Yes. Ding, ding, ding. Such a better actor, because I have to practice what I preach, like I catch myself falling into my old habits and not believing, right? And oh my gosh, such a better actor. Such a better actor. I used to try and hold on to stuff and control stuff, and I was so uncomfortable with the unknown, and now I'm just like, let's see what happens, especially now with this Zoom world and self tapes, and we've had to adjust a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I also, one of the hardest decisions I ever made for myself in my career, I left Stewart Talent after 18 years.
Yeah, right. You're with DDO right now, correct?
I am. That shift needed to happen for me. It was really hard,
Mm-hmm.
but DDO is tremendous, and they've been so, and not that Stewart wasn't, but we just, a different page needed to happen,
Well, it's
Um,
tough with loyalty when you're with someone that's been through you for so much. But this is a business, and we do have to say if something wasn't working on the other end, well, wouldn't they take those proper steps to make changes with you? Of course. So we have to be okay with that. I know that was probably hard, but how is that going with DDO? Are they keeping you busy?
they are. They have been so wonderful during all of this craziness. Um, and so helpful with us trying to navigate this whole new world of Zoom and all of the new stuff that we're doing. But yeah, they're keeping me busy. They are so good with knowing who I am and what my strengths are, and then maybe going, hey, let's try this thing. Would you be willing to try this thing? Let's
They're
go
like,
for
have you
this
ever
and see what
had
happens.
short, red, spiky hair? You're like, have I?
Why?
And Robyn, did that shift to
Uh,
DDO come because at a certain point in your career and what was going on with you professionally, it was just a step you needed to make?
Yeah. Yeah. It was a step that I absolutely needed to make. And yeah, it change just needed to happen,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
yeah.
Because it is a business. You are your business,
Yep.
right? So you gotta
You have to
watch out.
evolve. You have to change, and change things as they need to be changed. What about markets? I know that Chicago is your home. Have you entertained the idea of moving elsewhere, of trying another market out?
Yeah, I've always been curious about dipping the toes in the LA market. I've been out there a few times. I'm curious about that for sure, just to see what else is out there because it's such, there's such different markets happening. What's great is, DDO has connections with those other markets. So they've been really awesome about that conversation and trying to spread a little bit, but yeah, that's something I continue to think about once we get through all of this and vaccinations and we
Hmm.
can head into the future, thinking about this may not be a place that I stay forever.
So, like, being a Chicago-based actor, are you like with your representation, like, I would do something in New York or I would do something in LA. I wouldn't mind being bi-coastal or, trying all that out.
Hmm. Yeah, I did. When I was with Stuart, we dipped into the Atlanta market for a little while. That was great. But yeah, we've definitely had that conversation, and they're totally open to it. You know,
That's great.
um, yeah, they just want to support what it is that their artists want to do, and they're so open to all of that. And they're also honest. They're going to be honest with you about what it is that they see, and that's what we need, right?
I could not
That we
agree
can
more.
have the conversation.
I have asked questions about things to my representatives, and I love getting you don't want to hear this, but this is what it is. Because then it's like there's no bullshit or anything, and it's like, okay, cool. I'm glad you told me that. Like, that's what I needed to hear,
That's
instead of, gassing me up and I'm, having, just, but like put in place, like, look, this is or isn't possible, but just being totally honest, I think helps. And it
yes,
makes for better communication.
absolutely. Your agent. It's a relationship that you have in your life, and so I mean, there are times where I talk to my agents more than I talk to my friends. So like we have to be open. We have to have this communication with each other, and it's wonderful to have that. It's incredibly important, incredibly.
Now, what would you say, Robyn, to anybody kind of aspiring or getting into the business, maybe somebody new, or perhaps even maybe somebody who's been here a while who is experiencing their first of many droughts? Anything and everything. What would you say, maybe even to your younger self,
Hmm.
um, about this business and about how to navigate it more successfully?
Oh gosh. Well, to my younger self, I would say it's okay. Relax. Just, it's cool. You got this. Right? Just
Take a breath.
fucking relax. Yeah, take a breath.
And just wait till you're 32.
And
It's going to be fine at 32.
everything's going to be totally fine at 30.
You're going to be Cindy Herman.
Don't worry, Cindy's out.
I think don't worry and relax is the most common answer to that question in this business. Is like, oh, you poor little thing, just so fear-filled and shaky, like a little leaf. Don't worry.
But when it's all in front of
everything's
you,
going to be
terrifying, you know, and you
It's
don't have those
absolutely
experiences yet.
terrifying.
So it's just this void of possibilities, and it's like, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? What's going to happen? But when you get to the other side and you can look behind you, and you know, then you have the wherewithal to say, I know because I've lived it, it's totally fine and things will work out.
Yeah.
But when you're young and you're
that's
just starting,
elemental.
you're so excited.
You're
and
so
it's
overwhelmed. There's so much coming at you. And we don't have a playbook for this. Like there's no like handbook that they give to you that's a play-by-play of what this is going to look like. So
Yeah.
ask the questions, take the classes, talk to people, get advice, listen, right? Tommy, when I mentioned listen earlier and you were like, yes, 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 right? That trust that when you go in that room, we have to, I always say to my classes, we have to expect the unexpected. Every single time you walk in a room, something's going to be thrown at you. It's going to be something that you didn't expect. And we just have to throw ourselves into that, but listen and trust and take the classes, find a community for yourself, ask people questions, ask for help, ask, you know, if you don't know something, it's okay to ask because we don't know until we know. And we all start at a place where it's like, what is what? I don't understand what's going on. So don't be afraid to ask about that and ask for the help that you may need. And people around you will rally, you know.
Lovely. Well said. I mean, and it's great that we don't get the playbook. Because wouldn't it be awful if we knew everything? We knew when the call would be at 32 with the glass of wine, and it would be so easy, wouldn't it? Like the whole point of life is to not know what tomorrow is going to bring. Otherwise, it'd be so boring and expected. And exactly. And I remember even like washing those tables, setting down my 1,000th plate of spaghetti bolognese for some ungrateful customer while like my episode of like whatever is playing on the TV, and you're just like, what the hell am I doing?
You are obsessed
but you know what?
with spaghetti
Looking back,
bolognese.
it's so. Did I say it last time?
Every time
I
you
love
just spaghetti
bolognese.
bolognese. Oh my god.
Okay. You know,
so
it's poetic. It's beautiful, and to look back and say like, oh, those are the wonderful moments of uncertainty, and we wouldn't get the playbook if we were given to it. We wouldn't want that if we were handed it to us. One of the greatest things is not knowing, you know, and it makes you smile knowing not what you booked, but like pursuing it constantly, no matter how many no's it was. And you had no idea, you had no certainty. You just had something in your heart that was like, yes, I know this is for me. Maybe not today, but maybe tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. For sure.
Lovely.
And I would also say to people getting into this, you know, understand the business, ask questions about the business, because there are things about the biz that, again, we don't know until we know. So just understanding the other side of it, you know, what goes into the thinking behind it, and talk to a producer, or talk to a writer, or talk to a director, and understanding the roles that everybody plays and how all of this fits together, I think is a huge thing. Just knowing all the pieces of it too, just understanding.
I think for me, an understanding of the business is what has helped me with the notion of like the idea of rejection, because I'm aware there are so many moving pieces that it's not rejection and you did a bad audition. Like, I think just wherewithal of the business has helped me go, yeah, it wasn't my role. There are so many things that determine whether I'm going to get something that It's fine. You know?
Yeah. It wasn't my role. I love that. It was somebody else's. And we get to celebrate that. You know, that's awesome. Oh my gosh, that person booked that thing. That's amazing. It wasn't meant for me. It wasn't. But
Because
it doesn't mean that
eventually
I
it
did a
will
bad
come
job.
around to you, and then we can celebrate.
Mhm.
But, until then.
And there's going to be someone who's at their house saying, oh, Robyn got it. It should have been mine. Well, no, it was Robyn's. It's just this constant cycle of somebody getting something and then 409 other people saying, that was mine. It's like, well, no, it wasn't. It was the person who got it.
Right. And understanding that, right? Just because you didn't get something doesn't mean that you did a bad job. They could have loved you. They could have been like, oh my gosh, what a fantastic actor. Look at them making choices. They don't fit what we see this as, but I'm going to keep them back here. They're going to
And
stay
another
with
thing
me.
about understanding the business is if you have casting directors who keep calling you back, you are doing something right. They are rooting for
Adam,
you.
how many times did you get called into Pier whatever, 50, whatever? How many times did you get called into that one show? You keep saying it. I got called again. Right.
That like Revolutionary War thing. Oh, yeah. My managers would be like, turn again, and they were all self-taped because the whole thing was in Pennsylvania or something. But I got over the whole freaking series dozens of times for that. There's ones here that keep calling you in, and it's like, I am doing something right. Whether it was that specific role, but it's again having wherewithal. Okay, I'm doing something okay if they keep calling you in, and they're rooting for you. But knowing,
Absolutely,
Jesus, I can't fucking book with them. It's like, but they keep calling you in, and that is important. So just keep doing your thing, following your instincts, play things a little different than maybe you think they should, and give them something that they're, let's bring that person in again. They come up with something cool each time, you kind of want to get into that rhythm where people are rooting for you, and you can see it by how often they call you in.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I would also say, take the opportunities. Like, there was a film that I ended up doing last year that I did a reading for, and then they booked me in the film, right? So when that reading came up, absolutely, let's do that reading. And then also knowing that it's okay to say no if something doesn't feel right. If something, if something's oogie, don't do it. Don't say yes just to say yes, right? It's okay to stand up for yourself. It's okay to advocate for yourself. But know where the opportunities are. Know how to navigate the business for yourself, and know what it is that you want. What is it that I want? And have those goals, right? I want to book a sitcom at some point in my life. Great. That's great. Because that can actually happen, right? So, or if it's just something small for yourself. I want, or, the thing that I hear from my students all the time is I eventually, by the end of the year, want to be SAG. I want to be a SAG actor. Great. Right? Know what you want, have those goals. So as we navigate through this and we reach the moments where it is so hard and it's so discouraging sometimes, we have that still out there for us.
Yeah.
And
Marisa Panessa, speaking of agent, every first of the year, this incredible Chicago agent, Marisa Panessa of Panessa Talent, she would have me write down 3 attainable, reasonable, but challenging goals that you would write down on a little slip of paper, fold it, put it in your wallet, and have that for your entire year. So every time that I opened my wallet, there it was, right? And it was just a reminder, hey, this is out there. This is out there. This is out there. And then when something would happen where it was that goal that was reached, you cross it out. And you know what? There's some years that nothing was crossed out. Totally fine. We're keeping this for another set of goals here, and I'm adding 1 or 2 more, right? So having goals, practical, reasonable, but like challenging goals is definitely a help. It gives you some sort of structure, right?
Yeah, for sure. Super important. Super, super important.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching. If you like what you saw, subscribe for more. Get real actor coaching by real working actors. Get signed with Agent Genie and get inspired with our podcast before the break. Check us out at bookitnyc.com and see why we're the #1 resource for all working actors. Hey, Pat Flynn?